we've gone through the sections and we realize that so many of y'all are doing death penalty work or are on a list or are interested in it. So maybe this will be of some help to you. Just so you'll know this, I mean, I know y'all always wonder, are the faculty playing on the same field that you are? Well, this is a case that these people don't know anything about. I guarantee you, I've never talked to them. Some of them may have been in my room, I don't know, but it's none of y'all's cases. It's no setup, I promise. I don't know them, they don't know me, we have no clue what we're talking about. No, Daryl doesn't even know what I'm talking about. And I am going to try to do what y'all say the judges are telling you to do, which is move it along, counselor, move it along, move it along, move it along, and we're going to get there fast. That's my goal, and you can tell me if we do it or not. Pray for me as we go. Hi. Come on in. If y'all would just sit right up there in those chairs.
Comfortable.
You sit inside where I got room for my legs. That jury box all leave out.
Good afternoon.
Definitely.
Members of the jury, my name is Mary Ann Tally, and I am the lawyer who is representing Randy Huff. In this case, this is Randy Huff, who is my client. And as the judge told you, this is a criminal courtroom. Let me start out first, if I might, by just getting your name. Can I start with you, sir?
Ed Jones.
Mr. Jones?
Charles Visage.
Visage? Yes, sir.
Charles Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Sydney Scott.
Scott?
Agnes Scott.
And another Miss Scott.
Mrs.
Let me explain to you that I'm here to represent Randy Huff. This part of the trial gives me a chance to ask you questions about your feelings, your attitudes, your beliefs about the issues in this case. And because they're your feelings and your attitudes and your beliefs, there are obviously no right or wrong answers to any of the questions that I might ask you. All I would ask you to do is be as open and honest with us as we go through this. And if there's something that I ask that you don't understand, just say, Miss Tally, I don't understand what you're talking about. Would everybody agree with me that they would try to be honest with their answers about the issues in this case? Y'all try to help me with that? Okay. Now, the first thing that I need to tell you is that Randy Huff, my client, has been accused by the state of Georgia of committing first-degree premeditated murder. And under the law of Georgia, if he is convicted of first-degree premeditated murder, unlike any other case, the jury will decide what his punishment should be. In another type of criminal case, the judge always decides punishment. But if it's first-degree premeditated murder, the law of Georgia said the jury must determine punishment. And because this is my only chance to ask you questions, I need to ask you questions about punishment, even though we are not to that point in this case. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? This is my only chance to do that. So I hope that you'll understand that's why it's necessary for me to do it. Mr. Jones, let me ask you this. What's your very first reaction when I tell you that Randy has been accused of premeditated murder by burying his 9-month-old son alive?
Guilty.
And tell me why that's your reaction.
Apparently the prosecutors got good evidence, hard evidence. He never would have been indicted before the grand jury. They didn't have something to go on. That's my answer.
And Ms. Scott, what's your first reaction when I say that he's accused of first-degree premeditated murder by burying his 9-month-old son alive?
would find it hard to believe that he's here for no reason. But I would want to know more.
Mrs. Scott, what's your reaction to
I would feel that if there's any doubt in the situation, it would be in the degree or the severity of the accusation against him. I would feel certain that he did bury his child alive, but whether or not it was premeditated or whether it was there were other reasons or circumstances, I'd have to hear more.
Can you conceive of a situation in which a parent would do such an act?
I have difficulty with it, but what if, just presupposing, maybe I don't know whether it's a newborn, whether it's an older infant, but if it was born under unusual circumstances and maybe he didn't know the child was alive, I don't know, there could have been reasons.
Mr. Visage, what's your reaction when I say he's charged with first-degree premeditated murder by burying his 9-month-old son alive?
I find it hard to believe.
And tell me what you mean. Share with me what you mean.
I was gonna say I can bury somebody alive,
And that's a pretty...
unless you be a little bit off.
Unless you be a little bit off.
I don't find it impossible, but I find it hard to believe.
Mr. Thomas, what's your reaction?
Horror,
And tell me why. Tell me what goes through your mind.
just because it's a horrible thing to do. Horrible thing to contemplate.
And that's the absolute first reaction that you have, isn't it? I
Yes.
mean, how could this happen?
Well, no, the first reaction was horror, not how could it happen. I don't know how it happened.
It's just so
Or
horrible
who-
to think about.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you, Mr. Thomas, about punishment. If you were going to decide punishment in a case in which somebody had been convicted of premeditated murder of their son, what kinds of things would you want to know? Assuming that we got to that place, what would you want to know?
Assuming he did it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What would I want to know? I want to know why.
And what kinds of information would you look to try to find out why?
I don't think I'd try and guess on that. I'd have to hear from the person that did it and hear why they did it. I can't think of any reason why right offhand.
Would you want to hear from him?
Sure.
And that would be important to you.
Yes.
And Mr. Visage, what kinds of things would you want to hear if you were to determine punishment for somebody convicted of that type of crime?
I'd want to hear all I could.
What? What would you want to hear?
I'd like to hear his side of the story and hear all the evidence. And any tests they may have done to it.
In tests?
Yes.
Would the what do you mean by tests?
See if he was sane or insane.
Okay. Because your first reaction was, well, it's terrible unless those are something they need off or something.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones, tell me what you would want to hear, what you would want to know about in deciding punishment for somebody.
Well, I'd want to hear his background. But
Well, what difference would that make to you in deciding punishment?
it wouldn't really make any difference to me. Because, I mean, talk about somebody, well, he was abused and he was this, that, and the other, but he still committed murder.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't think that'd make any difference, except that it might get him off.
Okay. I appreciate your sharing that.
And these people that say that, well, I'm being abused and all this stuff, and I went out and I killed this person, and you ought not to punish me because of that. Now, of course, if I was him, I'd go along with what y'all implying. I'd go for an insanity.
And Ms. Scott, what kinds of things would you want to know to decide punishment?
And this is after he's beyond reasonable doubt, he's convicted.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear anything.
Okay.
I can't think of anything, any reason why. There's nothing else to hear.
Okay. There's nothing that you would want to hear at all.
No. I have
So-
no problem convicting him and giving him the death penalty.
Okay. Well, now you bring up the death penalty, and let me ask you about that. Tell me, what are your thoughts about the death penalty as punishment for somebody who's guilty of first-degree, premeditated, thought-out murder?
Just to rid society of a person of that way. I don't think a person that way could be rehabilitated to my satisfaction or my peace of mind.
And tell me why you feel that way. You know? Can you share with me a little bit about that?
Just that of all the people that I know, I don't know anybody who is, and I know a lot of people, and I don't know anybody who is capable of this.
Whoever.
I just don't know anybody who's capable of that type of behavior.
Mrs. Scott, what kinds of things would you want to know in deciding punishment?
Would want to know if there was had a proclivity for violence, that if this is something that could be repeated at some other time, if it would be a danger to other people, or whether it was just in passion or anger that the crime was committed, and that he's truly remorseful and is horrified by what he did and would not do it again.
Can you share with me a little bit, as Ms. Scott did, what thoughts and feelings you have about the death penalty punishment for someone who's been convicted of first-degree, premeditated, planned-out murder?
I'm on the fence about the death penalty. There are times when I feel like it's probably the only solution, but there are times where I feel like maybe it's not right. So I do not have a firm conviction one way or the other, and it would be an individual thing. In one type of case, in the severity of the crime, I might favor it, and in another instance, I might be against it. I don't think I could consistently be for or against.
Now, when you say severity of the crime, just to make sure that you and I are both talking about the same thing, when I'm asking about the death penalty, I am talking about a case of premeditated, planned-out murder for which there's no legal excuse or justification. You understand
I
that?
understand that.
In that type of case, are there still some distinctions?
And I'm thinking in the case of a serial killer who has done multiple things all his life and who is never going to be rehabilitated, or even, he's just going to take up storage space in an institution someplace. I would be in favor of the death penalty. For someone who killed once out of, say, anger or passion and probably would never do it again, I don't know that I would be that severe in choosing punishment.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Mr. Thomas, could you tell me what are your thoughts and feelings about the death penalty as punishment for first degree premeditated, thought out murder.
Well, I'm against it, but not for humanitarian reasons, just on the basis of economics. It just costs too much and takes too long. But I do think anybody that did that should get life imprisonment without any possibility of parole.
What does a sentence of life imprisonment in Georgia mean to you? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I know it means different things, different places, but what I'm referring to is life imprisonment without any possibility of parole.
And do you have any thoughts about what Georgia law is? I mean, what a life sentence means under Georgia law?
I know sometimes it doesn't mean very much in Georgia.
Okay, and explain that to me.
Well, I don't know, I've heard 7 years, 20 years, 7, 8 years about the minimum that I've heard about that you can get out after having a life sentence.
And that...
But that's not
Here-
that's not the type of life sentence I'm talking about.
Okay, and you're talking about life without possibility of parole.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. If the judge told you that under Georgia law there is a sentence of life without possibility of parole, how would that affect you if the judge told you that there is such a law?
It would make me favor it for that type of crime.
Would you believe the judge if he told you that?
Sure. You suggesting our Georgia judges lie?
Well, you know, a lot of people think there's a lot of things going on in the court. Mr. Hughes, tell me what are your thoughts about the death penalty as punishment for premeditated first-degree planned out murder?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay? And tell me why. Tell me what are your thoughts about that and why you favor that as a punishment. You ever thought about it?
Not really.
When you say just right off the bat, I'm in favor of it, does something go through your head about, yeah, it's good because?
Well, why put the man in prison and taxpayers have to support him the rest of your life?
Okay. So you really think about, it costs a lot.
It does.
To keep people in prison for a long period of time.
And I don't think the justice system we got now ain't swift enough.
Okay, now tell me what are your thoughts about that?
Because they can stay in prison for 10, 12, 15 years on appeals for their finally put away. When there's no reasonable doubt.
And what do you think about it?
I don't like it. It'd be like some of your foreign countries. It's swift.
Okay.
Here they ain't gone tomorrow.
And Mr. James, could you share with me your thoughts and feelings
Well,
about the death penalty?
I think I'm for it in a premeditated guilty case,
Mm-hmm.
But and the reason I'm for it is for the victim's family. And I like this guy here. I'm for a quick, go on and get it over with. I don't know why they take so long to do that, but all the appeals and everything. I have noticed in the state of Georgia, though, recent years, that all of the electrocutions have been white. I don't know why. All the
What
recent.
strikes you about that? Or if any?
What strikes me about it is that the minority is claiming that they got the majority of people on death row, so they got to go ahead and execute some white people first.
Mhm.
That's what strikes me about it.
What do you think about that?
I don't think that's right.
What-
I mean, they just stating that the minority's got more people in jail and more people robbing and more people on death row and and it's just terrible. Well, I mean, they did the crime, let them do the time. That's what my feeling. Just like that guy there, White, shoot, he wouldn't last 6 months on death row.
And who do you think manipulates that, if that's being manipulated?
of the court, a judge, political,
And why do you think they would do that?
get votes, I guess. I don't know.
What are your feelings, Mr. Jones, about a sentence of life imprisonment as a punishment for first-degree premeditated murder?
Well, I agree with what he said. I mean, and the second thing, life
You agree
without
with-
any parole whatsoever. No, nothing. No rehabilitation, no nothing. Just, you're there for life and that's it. That'd be my second request.
Okay. Now, when you say you agree with Mr. Thomas about it definitely should be life without possibility of parole.
Exactly.
If you're going to talk about the punishment at all.
Right. That's the minimum.
Now, when you say that would be your second request, explain to me what you mean by that.
Well, I wouldn't want to give them life and then they'd get out in 7, 8, 5, 3, 4, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want them to get life without getting put out. Because you don't want them back on the street in society.
And do you have any ideas about what Georgia law means when we talk about a sentence of life imprisonment?
It means about what they say. I mean, that you take a criminal that gets out in 7, 8, or 10 years, he's committing another crime right back in, put him out where he can commit more crimes. That's what it means in Georgia. Because all I know, there's very few I've ever heard of that got life without parole.
If the judge told you that there was such a sentence under Georgia law, would you believe?
Yeah, please.
And the reason I asked that question, and I'm glad that both Mr. Thomas and Mr. James brought that up, is under Georgia law, actually there are two types of life sentences. One is called life where there is a possibility of parole, and another is life without possibility of parole. And I take it from what you two gentlemen are saying that if you were going to consider a sentence of life imprisonment as punishment for first-degree murder, it would have to be a sentence of life without possibility of parole. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
That's what I say.
What kinds of things would you want to hear about to decide, Mr. James, between a sentence of life imprisonment without possibility of parole and the death penalty? How would you decide between them?
I'd say, well, if the judge said, well, you can give a death penalty or you can give life without parole,
Mm-hmm.
according to the law in this case.
All right.
Now, if you hadn't got anything to do but give an electrocution or whatever in the state, then go for that. It all depends on what the judge charges you with.
The judge will tell you that under the law of Georgia, the death penalty is never required. He'll tell you that. And he will tell you if you got to that stage, you would have to decide between life without possibility of parole and the death sentence. You as a juror, an individual juror. If the judge instructed you that way, how would you make that determination?
On the severity of the crime.
Okay? Explain to me what you mean by that.
I mean, like they, I don't know, like they hack somebody up, or torture them, before dying,
Mhm.
or something like that.
Is there anything else that would be important to you?
I don't know, maybe a bad rape case or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. If you have any other thoughts about that? as we
Well,
go along?
I guess I'm soft-hearted when you come to it.
Are you?
I might not, now if the judge imposed a death penalty, it'd be different.
Uh-huh.
But if I gotta get up and say, I want the death penalty on this guy, I might chicken out. That's the reason I'm for life without parole. Of course, now if I was a victim, if I was a victim family, it might be a different story. But just a stranger.
Mr. Jones, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because under Georgia law, the judge will not do sentencing in that kind of case. It is a juror's decision, and because it is such a monumental decision, the law says that it's a very individual moral judgment for you as a juror to make in a particular case. And so it would be your individual judgment based on the evidence and the law that the judge gave you to decide. And that's what's different about punishment for first-degree murder, because it's a juror's individual moral judgment to make based on the evidence that the juror hears. Mr. Thomas, could you tell me sort of how you would go about choosing between life imprisonment without possibility of parole and the death penalty?
Well, I thought I covered that when I first said I'm not against the death penalty,
Yes,
but I'm
sir.
against it because of the way it is right now. It would cost hugely more to execute a person than it would to keep him in jail for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm talking, I don't know, what is it, around $500,000 or something by the time you get all the attorneys and judges and court reporters and everything, and that 10, 15 years after the act to finally execute somebody. I just don't think it's worth the money. And as long as they're in prison for life without parole, I think that's the proper, because I don't think there is the alternative, just cost-wise, of using the death penalty.
And Mr. Visich, let me go back to you and ask you, could you tell me how you would make that kind of decision in choosing between
By the evidence,
a sentence of life imprisonment and the death penalty?
by the evidence.
By the evidence. And tell me what you mean by that. What kind of evidence would you want to hear about it?
Cold hard facts.
And by cold hard facts, tell me what you mean. Just share with me what you mean.
I don't know what I would say on that.
When you say cold hard facts, are you talking about how the crime occurred?
Know how the evidence shows.
How the evidence shows
Yes.
that the crime occurred?
Right.
Okay. Because Mr. Jones said one thing that he would think about was, was it a torture killing? Mr. Jones said that.
Well, you said it's premeditated, so the man had to think about it beforehand,
Right?
so I'd have no trouble.
The fact that it's a baby might make some jurors more apt to give the death penalty,
Yes, sir.
but that's not the case with me.
Why do you say that, Mr. Jones?
I think that the fact that it was a baby, it would be less apt to give the death penalty.
Ms. Scott, what do you think about that? What do you think
About
about
the
what?
date,
Mhm.
I don't understand why he said that. I think it would be more, I would feel
Well, that's,
more.
yeah, more to
stronger.
give the death penalty because it was a child.
So you're saying you would think that would weigh more heavily toward the death penalty for you, that the victim was a
Well,
child?
toward the average person, but I don't think I'm the average person because I can't believe we're related because of what she was saying. I don't care how many people the person is killed. I don't think they use the death penalty often enough or fast enough. Get rid of them.
Are you related to Mrs.
Yes.
Scott? How are y'all related?
She's my mother.
Mother and daughter.
Mother and daughter. Interesting dynamic. Let me talk to y'all about that. It's like I was talking to Mr. Jones. Because the decision about whether to sentence somebody to life imprisonment or death is such a monumental decision. Our law says it's an individual moral judgment for each juror. You understand what I'm saying? And you decide it based on everything that you see and you hear in the courtroom. And let me just ask you this, Mrs. Jones. Would you agree that even if you disagree with your daughter, that she has the right to have her opinion?
The way I brought her up.
Okay. And would you agree that you would respect her opinion?
Right.
Would you, by the same token, expect that she would give the same amount of respect to your opinion?
Yeah.
Because that's the way you brought her up. Ms. Jones, let me ask
Scott.
you.
Scott.
Hmm?
Ms.
Ms.
Scott.
I'm sorry. Would you agree that if you disagree with your mother, that you would respect her opinion, but just disagree with it?
Oh, yeah, we do all the time.
And Mr. Jones has already said that some people might think one way and he might think another. Mr. Jones, would you agree that if you thought differently from Ms. Scott, that you would at least respect her opinion?
Sure, I respect that opinion.
And would you expect that she in return would give the same respect to your opinion?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's about all the time that we have, and I don't want to hold y'all up. These jurors were wonderful. We appreciate so much you're taking the time to spend with us, be here all afternoon, and answer these questions. Are there anything that y'all would like to say about what you've been through this afternoon? And you can be perfectly honest.
It's been interesting.
Interesting?
Yeah.
I think that if you could somehow avoid a situation where you're asking a juror to say, could you explain that, or would you philosophize on that subject, that's a little tough for the average person. And you might come up with something interesting sometimes, but also I think if you could devise questions to get the answers that were a little more simple and straightforward rather than asking this extemporaneous philosophy.
Because it's hard to speak in public, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have philosophy on almost every subject, so it doesn't bother me, but a lot of people don't. And it's tough to put somebody on a spot like that.
Well,
It's hard.
I've served on jury duty twice, and they never asked me this in-depth question. I mean, they said, "What do you do?" And I would say, "I'm a school teacher," and they'd strike. I mean, they didn't have
Well,
Well,
I think,
and we're trying to teach people that that's not a very good way to do things, that they might care more about what you think about things than just what you're
Well, I like this. I like being
I think the whole court system is soft on criminals
Do you?
of any degree.
Mhm.
I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I know the police are soft on criminals because they stole my car about a month ago.
Uh-huh.
Four people. And the police chased them down, and they said, well, I said, well, did you catch them? They said, no. I said, they opened the door and ran. I said, what are you, like Bonnie Fife? You didn't have a bullet?